All right, welcome to the podcast. Today is Monday, June 18th. Is that right? June 18th. Is that right, Tim? We're gonna date check June 18th, and I'll do a recap of the weekend and also Friday. One thing that we've been working on is releasing content that's from my point of view. So I have, let's say thoughts about the industry, emerging technology, about business, about whatever it is. And we've had Britt essentially like ghostwriting for me. However, everything that's come out hasn't really been in my voice. It's really been in this mix of like my voice and hers. And so I haven't been happy enough with it to actually release anything. So we have all this content that we've been trying to work on and write. And I was really trying to take inspiration from other people who have ghostwriters, people like Gary Vaynerchuk, who I think, anytime you read an article of his, it's like, oh, this is like his voice, right? And it's done really well. Then I kept, I thought to myself, I was like, all right, like this feels very forced. It's not coming across in my voice. And why am I doing something that everyone else has already done, right? Like that's not new. And so that's where I got excited about the vlog. Like I don't know anyone who's releasing a vlog just on Instagram stories. Maybe there are, but there's not a lot. Right, and especially about building a business like ours, right? I don't think there's many people who have released vlogs about building a business in general in the way I'm doing it. Same thing with this podcast. And so I just want to keep pushing the boundaries on doing something different. So one thing I'm thinking about for written content is what happened was Britt was really putting her own spin on it. So I was like, hey, what if we just lean into that and then have it such that when she writes content, it's actually her perspective on having a conversation with me. Right, so when you see an article about whatever, it's actually going to be like, hey, this is like Britt talked to me. This is what she got out of it and what she learned. So it's not my voice. It's just here's what I got out of talking to Anthony, and we're going to do something different. We're going to have a whole series just on that. So I don't know how that's going to end up, but like, hey, like let's just try something different. Why do something that someone else has done? That's not really interesting. That's just like a Me Too kind of thing. And I think we were trying too hard to do things that other people have done instead of just being like, all right, let's just do let's try some shit and see what works. So those are a couple things that we decided on last week that I don't think I touched on in the podcast. Other than that, this weekend I was pretty sick. Was basically at home. I'm still feeling like shit right now. But I powered through the weekend, just took a bunch of meds, had a bunch of work to get done. There's a lot going on with the business, still finalizing some stuff with the restructuring, have about a 90K gap to cover in July, only have 2 weeks left to cover it. As of last week, we had like a 140K gap, we reduced it to 90, which is good, have 2 weeks to close that 90K gap, so going to be working on closing that this week. On top of it, things you don't see and that people even in the room don't really know is I've been dealing with and I'm not going to go into details because I can't, but for the last 3.5 years I've been dealing with a lawsuit that I don't talk about much, but that's coming to, it's something that especially this week I'm going to have to deal with a bit more, in addition to a couple other things that I'm not going to talk about. I reveal a lot, but there's some things I don't, and right now I'm feeling a little bit more tenseness, emotional tenseness, not feeling too great. There's certain things that I just can't completely share, oftentimes because of like legal stuff. I just actually can't. But and it's hard because not everyone. If you're listening to this podcast and you're a business owner, you might understand what I'm talking about. But there's a lot of things that go on that sometimes you can't share about, but it definitely takes an emotional and mental drain on you, and I was debating whether even to like talk about that this morning, but that's kind of the truth is that I'm pretty emotionally worn at this point, and it's stuff that like you can't really openly, or I don't feel like completely openly talking about with the team. For example, is like, hey, I'm fucking beat right now, I'm exhausted, and but I need to keep powering through, or because there's a sense of responsibility just being in this position, right? Is even though I have all this shit going on, that has nothing to do with the current predicament of like having a 90-day gap. Like that's one thing, but I'm also dealing with a lawsuit and other legal stuff and like, you know, and then a bunch of other things. But every person does. It's just the game that I'm playing is this, and so hey, that's just what it is. But it doesn't mean that I'm immune to feeling worn down, and that's how I feel right now. So I figured, hey, that's the point of this podcast, so you can actually share it, you know, and yeah. So I guess there's, you know, I could talk about other things that I did this weekend, but that's, I think this is more, you know, useful. Hopefully, is like, hey, I'm not immune to feeling drained and down, and if you're running a business, you might also, and it's okay. I've learned to just be okay with it, being like, all right, cool, I feel this way, and right, like it's okay to, you know, you don't have to feel 100% all the time. That's part of being human, having emotions, but it's just actually acknowledging it and respecting it. Like I'm okay not feeling great now. Instead of fighting it, I'm like, all right, I don't feel great, cool. Right? That's not, the point isn't always being happy 24/7. Like, you want to be happy, right? But we're also humans and we have emotions, and you can't only have happiness 24/7. And so what I used to do is I used to fight these emotions, which would make them worse. Instead, I'm just like, all right, I'm feeling this way. Let me sit with it, explore it, and then let it go. And that helps me get through it a bit faster. But yeah, if you're having emotions, just like, look, it's you know, it's normal, it's human to have emotions. It's how you, I think, at least for me in this current state, my view on it is like, look, just acknowledge them, respect them, sit with them, explore them, think about them, ask yourself, like, why are you having this? Like, what is it? And part of this is, you know, what I told you, like, I'm dealing with a lot of stuff, and there's a lot of responsibility I'm feeling. There's also things, you know, a lot of pressure, but, you know, it is what it is. Or, you know, I kind of put on the pressure myself, I guess. But then let them go. And so my recovery time now, it doesn't really knock me off as much. This kind of stuff used to knock me out for days. I'd be at home sitting on the couch for a couple days, just spiraling into a depression, right, with some of these things. But instead, like, that doesn't actually get you anywhere. But, I mean, emotions are a hard thing to sit with as much as you want to fight them. They're there, and so just like acknowledging them, respecting them, sitting with them, and then letting them go, and then moving on is my new kind of take on them. So like, hey, it's gonna take me a couple hours, you know, and whatever it is, you don't just like automatically snap out of it, or at least for me, you know, I'm getting quicker and quicker at moving. You know, it's not even snapping out; I'm getting quicker and quicker at letting them go. So anyways, that's on my mind today, and now it's Monday. I have to move on with the rest of the day, and yeah, that's all I got. So anyways, I will see you guys all tomorrow, hopefully, and I'll give you the recap of what happened in the rest of the day on Monday. All right.